Hello and welcome back to another episode of Generation Films. My name is American Ben, and today we are going to break down the most underrated alien races in science fiction. We all know the Reapers and the Klingons and the Xenomorphs and so on. We've spent time discussing just about every major alien race on this channel, aside from whatever my 23andMe test showed a trace of, but I digress. Today we shift our focus to those aliens who, for one reason or another, never get any credit for their intellectual prowess, deadly skills, or great power. I mean, there's little originality in sci-fi. There's like 8 different races, which are all just basically the same annoying space elf, so it's hard to get excited about every different xenospecies that comes around the bend. But still, there are some alien species that possess unique traits which make them highly formidable denizens of their respective universes, and today, for the good of mankind, we shed light on such creatures that you, good viewer, may become informed and perhaps more safely travel about the galaxy. First up, in 6th place, we have the Bioraptors from Pitch Black. Bioraptors were not the most durable aliens. After all, they exhibited extreme photosensitivity and could be burned to death by a mere flashlight. So why the hell are they on this list, Ben? Well, in the dark, they're absolutely terrifying. Amidst a long night, perhaps via eclipse, they may emerge from underground and wipe out life on an entire planet during a mass feeding. And actually, they are thought to have been responsible for the extinction of most of the life forms on their home planet M6117 in the M344G system. What makes Bioraptors such adept hunters in the dark? Well, they have no eyes and don't need them either. Instead, they have ultrasonic sensor organs capable of registering even the slightest of sounds, and in this way the raptors can map out their environments in detail, at times during which other creatures in their vicinity can't see anything. Worse yet, Bioraptors can also achieve limited flight thanks to their wings. These flying raptors also have twin forked tails with sharp points on the end, and their legs contain bone spears which can be used for grabbing prey. For dealing further damage, their feet have sharp talons on them, and their wrists hide spike feelers which can extend out a long ways and strike their targets. Other than that, though, they're really nice guys. I'm not saying Bioraptors don't have their obvious weaknesses, but in the right environment, namely a dark one, they can become a living nightmare. In 5th place, we have the Kaminoans from Star Wars. The Kaminoans were a tall and slender amphibian species native to the aquatic planet known as Kamino. The Kaminoans had a number of traits that made them unique. For one, they were isolationists. Unlike many of the other alien species we cover on this channel, the Kaminoans, despite having the mental fortitude to make imperialist moves, were mostly concerned with their homeworld and desired to stay there. The favorable way to explain their protectionism or Kamino first philosophy is to point to the Kaminoans' rationality, which indeed they were known for. However, I think the Kaminoans were isolationists more due to their risk-averse nature than to some sort of sophisticated insightfulness. Simply said, the Kaminoans believed that getting tangled up in intergalactic affairs invited more trouble than benefits. However, the Kaminoans also did not believe they were superior to other species. They simply wanted to keep to themselves and live in peace. That said, their intelligence was superior to most other alien races, and this is what makes them so underrated. Their brain power was such that they became quite adept in genetic engineering, which on one hand led them to sufficiently adapt themselves to their surroundings, and on another, and more pertinently, to create massive clone armies. This latter ability suggests that the Kaminoans, had they the desire, could have strong-armed the galaxy to bow to its will with waves of engineered super soldiers. Luckily, they had no such intentions, but still the Kaminoans are underrated for their clone-creating talents, which never backfired on them in any way. In 4th place, we have the Huragaka, or engineers from Halo. Again, we go with a non-combative species, but doing so is only natural for a list like this because non-violent species are often overlooked. Engineers were presumably created by the Forerunners before these tentacled blobs were later absorbed into the Covenant. So why are we including this only semi-sapient species, which the Didact refers to as, quote, a useless waste of good carbon, end quote, on this list? Well, because they have some unique and powerful abilities, though some would probably argue that the Huragaka are better seen as organic tools than as fully conscious beings. As far as the aforementioned abilities go, for one, engineers are able to float from one location to another using a gas sack on their backs, which breaks down hydrocarbons, thereby making them lighter than air. Yeah, so they basically burp themselves into flight. However, the reason the Huragaka have been included on this list is for their talents as mechanics. Their tentacles can split into millions of cilia, which together then produce a beam capable of repairing any technology in seconds. Of course, this ability would make engineers popular in just about any armed force, paging the Imperium of Man, CC, the Adeptus Mechanicus. With the Huragaka around, wear and tear on gear and tech is much less severe. In third place, we have Floracolossus, or Groot's race in the Marvel Universe, a plant-like organism native to the planet X. Floracolossi were famously incomprehensible to other species given their highly tonal and complex language. However, the members of the Guardians of the Galaxy seem to begin to understand Groot after being around him for a while, though Thor may or may not have studied the Floracolossus language in school. More importantly, the Floracolossi make this list because they're very powerful and durable creatures. Their tree-like appearances are nearly impervious to physical harm, and when they do take damage, their healing abilities allow for quick and total recovery, which includes the regrowth of limbs or even their entire bodies from a small twig, the latter of which does, however, take a bit of time. Additionally, in combat or when traversing obstacles, Floracolossi exhibit complete control over their bodies. We can perhaps almost call them shapeshifters even. They can extend their limbs as vines and use them to reach things or whip enemies, and can sprout twigs on their bodies to shield themselves, among other abilities. Floracolossi are often overlooked as an alien species because, well, I assume because they look like trees. But these mysterious beings can survive through catastrophic events and are capable of extraordinary feats of power. In second place, we have the Asari from Mass Effect. A highly revered and influential species in the universe of Mass Effect itself, the Asari are hardly mentioned in conversations about the most intelligent and powerful alien races, and maybe that's fair, but they have certain qualities which have led them to thrive amongst a dangerous galaxy. Actually, they built the largest economy in their respective galaxy. The Asari, native to the planet Thessia, were a monogender race, as all of their constituent beings were feminine in appearance and had maternal instincts. Their origins on Thessia, a planet rich in element 0, were part of the reason that the Asari had such great biotic aptitude, as in, they were adept at creating Mass Effect fields using element 0 nodules embedded in body tissues, i.e., they got lots of cool powers. Of course, the ancient Protheans who created the Citadel also played an instrumental role at the genetic level in the evolution and development of the Asari. So why are the Asari on this list aside from their biotic powers? Well, first, they have long lifespans. We're talking 1,000 years or more. And while this alone doesn't get you on a Generation Films best of sci-fi list, well, the Asari's longevity combined with their intelligence produced a very wise species. The Asari tended to have a long view of reality around them. This means they had patience. They didn't rush diplomacy or relationships with other species. They were okay with taking their time to let connections build and for their investments to issue returns. One of the major flaws humans have is that they're impatient. They want to see quick change because they live relatively short lives, and the problem with that is that quick change is often impossible to accomplish efficiently or with long-lasting positive outcomes. Humans make decisions that seem obviously beneficial in the short term, but could end up being disastrous in the long term. On the other hand, the Asari made, at times, apparently bizarre decisions in terms of their short-term benefits, which ended up being good decisions in the long run. Thus, the Asari had a very balanced and stable society. For instance, the Asari preferred spreading their influence through soft power rather than by war, the latter of which would usually provide returns sooner, but which also often begot more conflict down the road. Another special quality the Asari possess is the ability to reproduce with any other species. They don't take DNA from their partners, but instead use a sort of mental meld technique to explore their partner's genetic material and copy desirable traits over to their offspring. The Asari can also use this mind meld ability to transfer and receive thoughts from and to their partners, thus allowing them to perfectly understand other beings. The Asari actually looked down on intraspecies reproduction, as genetic improvement and mental insight is best gained by mixing with other species. In this way, the Asari saw and shared in the positive attributes of all species. In first place, we have Armus from Star Trek. We only saw Armus once, but its potential threat is enough to get it to the top of our list. Armus was a bit different than most other aliens in that it was both organic and, in a way, metaphysical in nature. See, Armus was born when a race of Titans native to Vagra 2, Armus's home planet, extracted all of the evil energy from within themselves. The substance that was ejected formed into a pool of black tarry liquid which could shapeshift. Thus, in effect, Armus was pure evil. Now, Armus lacked many of the traits of a complex life form and had no neural or circulatory system, no internal organs, proteins, cellular structure, skeletal framework, or muscles. However, Armus was still extremely dangerous. It was capable of enveloping other creatures into its form within which it could torture its captured victim. Additionally, Armus was able to absorb phaser fire while sustaining no damage, and could, on the contrary, possibly even feed off of phaser energy. As an entity of pure evil, Armus was also consumed by rage, and when it focused this rage, it could generate a force field around itself capable of blocking sensor scans, communications, and transporters. Armus could also use psychokinesis and teleportation on beings captured by this field. Lastly, Armus could expel energy discharges powerful enough to kill humans or bring down spacecraft. I suppose Armus was basically an immortal, unfiltered cigarette. Anyway, that's our list of the most underrated aliens in science fiction. I know I missed a whole bunch, so please let me know what I left out down in the comments below. I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell. Little note, I am trying to get back on camera soon. I just moved, so I gotta get my whole space set up again, and then you will see my horrific face once more. For now, my name is American Ben. I'll catch you next time. Generation Films, peace.